Ladies and gentlemen, now we would like to invite Mr. Stephan Oost to the stage. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Oost. His speech will be about critical factors of success. The stage is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. I see that we have the core of the listeners, we still have them. The rest is doing maybe a drink at the pool, maybe at the beach. They might be enjoying like a late night sleep. But here's the core. So to me, you're the more important group, but maybe you already feel like going to the pool or doing something else. I'm sorry then, but I think I have a quite nice story to tell you and a quite nice story to share with you. Why am I on stage? Well, I've been invited by Fuad many times to be here, and I was here last year talking about the fact that if you join forces and if you share your knowledge with the people next to you, if you share your knowledge with colleagues, but also with competitors, in the end, you will come out better. You know more, you learn more, and you're open to more things. I'm in the business for about 20 years, and I've been asked to share a little bit of the critical success factors. But critical success factors, like what you did this morning, if you have 20 minutes talking about it, you're listening, and then all of a sudden you go to your phones or you lose a little bit of interest. Or you should have very nice videos, like Mr. Sabas did, who was very well prepared with lovely videos, and he made a real impression. So there's two things that I can do. I can either tell you a story and tell my story, or we can change it a little bit around. Make it a little bit more a workshop, where we use each other's knowledge of the market, see how far we can get, and see if there are some practical outcomes that you can use, maybe in the next week, maybe in the next month, maybe in the next year. But at least something that you can use, driving your business, being more successful, but just having a little bit more knowledge of what you can do and your competitors can do. So, you tell me, do you want me to tell my story, or shall we combine our interests, shall we combine our knowledge, and shall we help each other becoming better in what we do? Who's for the story? Who's for the sharing? Well, that's an easy one. We go for the sharing. One thing that I find really important is success. What is success? What are we talking about? If you look for a definition of success, you get multiple ways. You get a lot of ways what success all means. This is one of them. It's a peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to do your best, to become the best that you are capable of becoming. It's a lot to do with yourself. Put everything in it, put all your energy in it, and make sure that you're successful. But success is only like a word. It's only a thing. It's only a meaning. And the content of success is something that you give to it. Your success could be completely different than if it would be my story, and I wouldn't judge it as success. So let me give you a few minutes. Talk to your neighbor. And tell your neighbor, even though you have someone who you know for a long time or is completely new to you, what is your success story in terms of the organization of an event? Just take a minute. Talk to your neighbor. And if you're alone sitting there, turn around. There's a lot of people all around the place. Just share your story. What to you is a successful event, and why was it successful? Just mingle, do it. Take your time. Share your own story. Is it on? Is it on?
Yeah, we'll have to.
No, no, it's on. Okay, great, thank you. Who of you heard a story that you perceive is really success? Who of you was given a story that was saying, hey, never heard of this, I was really surprised. Who heard something of his neighbor that he says, that's really successful, I would consider that successful too? Just raise your hand. Who heard a story? Oh, there's still people talking about that. So who heard a story? Let's go here. This is easy for me. You were telling a story. You were telling your story to him, right?
Yes, I was.
You were telling your story to him, right? So what was the story about?
It was, I think it's a turnover in my life. I have a company advertising agency, but I used to organize conferences back in the 19th. One customer came from Saudi Arabia in 1999. He said, we are engineers. We own a company about operation and maintenance, and we want to organize a conference about operation and maintenance in Beirut. So I said, yes, okay. We organized the conference at 2001, and it was a huge success. They are a big company, engineers, consultants in Saudi Arabia. And we organized it in another year, same in Beirut also.
Mm-hmm.
So after this success, after this show, they were amazed about this business. They said, how about if we invest in your company and we make it bigger?
You can talk about the success there.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
that's what happened.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Anyone else that heard a story from their neighbors that they can perceive as a success? No other success stories? You have a success story? Yes. There's a microphone there next to you. Would you mind standing up, please, so we can see you?
Yeah, actually, I just found out a success story of my good friend and colleague. She told me about it. I turned to her and I said, I never asked you how you got into the business of planning travels and doing this. And I found out that she loved traveling and she thought that this is what she wanted to do. So she followed her passion and then she went to study for that. And another thing that kind of triggered that move was her mom relocated to Turkey when she was a young girl.
Mm-hmm.
And she followed her passion and the fact that she was in a country that was a cradle, basically, of tourism. And when these two things came together, she's been in the business for 15 years now and very successfully.
There you go.
So
well done.
we're friends for so many years and I'm just finding out the core of all of it.
Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Nice story. And with this, yes, please give her applause for sharing this. Absolutely. And with this, you can already hear that success has like different ways. We're talking about creating a new opportunity, by that getting support for your business and growing. Success, on the other hand, can be following your dream, follow your heart, and then make it successful and make your business out of it. So success, it's about you as a person, it's about wording, it's about what you think is important. This is just one of the overviews, one of the many charts that has a lot of words in it, which are all more or less related to success. And if I would ask you now, if you have to pick 3 words out of this one, just to make a definition of what success means to you, which 3 would you choose? Just write them down. You all have a piece of paper in front of you. You all have a pencil in front of you. And if you feel that there's anyone missing and you want to add one, absolutely do. Just give me 3. Not even listed 1, 2, 3. Just take 3 words which to you are defining your feeling of success and your definition of success. Is it honesty? Is it quality of service? Integrity? Maybe consistency? Personal growth? You know, following your dream, follow what you want to do, love travel, and then become part of the travel industry and become successful. Let me just go here. Top 3. You've been writing. What is your top 3?
Integrity, excellence, and consistency.
Integrity, excellence, and consistency. Who has another top 3? Another top 3. You have another top 3?
Work-life balance, achievement, and the third one wasn't there, so I just put it down. Happiness.
Happiness. Okay. Someone else put 3 different ones in there. Do you already hear that there's a completely different approach to success, happiness, and all that? Please do so.
Value,
Value,
trust,
trust.
teamwork.
Value, trust, and teamwork. Very nice, very nice. Anyone else?
Integrity, innovation, and work-life balance.
Integrity, innovation, and work-life balance. Well, and there you go. Even putting up a chart like this and making you make a selection of 3 where you already have the words in front of you, let alone if I would not put this in front of you. We will have a variety of all kinds of words that would stipulate what your definition, your own definition of success will be. So, to me, if I go to work, the only thing that I want to be, and I think we all want to be, is successful. I don't know anyone that will go to his work and thinks, well, you know, maybe a less successful day today, you know, let's skip a few meetings, let's make sure that I'm going to miss a few appointments, and then by the end of the day I'm less successful than I can be. No one has the intent of doing that. It might happen, but it's not the intent of that day. So if success to you is different than to you, and different than to you, how on earth can we then be successful in defining what success is? Because success is something that I have a different definition than you have. But there's one thing, and that's the thing, you know, I can't tell my story because you eliminated me from this session, making it a workshop. I might be able to do that later. But there's one thing, that our 3 success factors are never 1, 2, 3. They're always 3 or 5 or 1. But they're never ranked because one doesn't go without the other. If you determine for yourself that you have 2 that really define your success, you need both. You can't say I have this one and then I don't need the other one, but I'm still successful. That won't work. And here we go to the key factor. Customer expectations. Within our success, if we want to be successful, we have to be successful, if you run a business, in customer expectations. We can do a whole lot of things, but if we don't know what our customer wants, we will never be successful. Because either we're doing way too much, or we're not doing the right thing, or we're falling short, or we're doing the wrong thing. And I can give you an example of that. So now I'm mixing my story with the workshop. I had an assignment where I was asked to think outside the box. And we all know that, right? You come to a conversation, you get an instruction, and then people tell you, well, yeah, we want something special. We want something different. Think outside the box. And probably today I would have taken a different approach than I did then. Because then I walked away and I'm like, I'm going to nail this. This is the one that I'm going to be successful at. This is the one that I'm going to take back home. I'm going to talk to my team and I come back to something they will never expect. And I can tell you one thing, I did exactly that. They never expected me to come back with the things that I came up with. And I never expected them to say no to all my suggestions. And why? Because I never asked them what outside of the box is. I never asked them what special for them was. I never asked them. And the people at the table, although it might be, for some people, it might just be showing your vulnerability, your inexperience, if you ask them. But I can tell you, after more than 20 years in the business, it's not a weakness. It's very professional. If you are there and you ask the question. So what do you mean by outside of the box? Do you mean this? Or do you mean this? Do you think in this direction? What did you do before? Where did you go the last two times? Is this completely new to the business? Do you want me to propose a few things that other companies did, so you get a little bit of an understanding of what could work and what couldn't work? So talking about customer expectations, and I gave you a chart about success for yourself. What if I won't give you a chart for success factors of your customer? Can you write down 3 words or 3 little sentences what your customers are looking for? Can you try that? Just write them down on your piece of paper in front of you. So what is the success factor for your customer? Anyone willing to share? Yes, ma'am.
I think customer needs trust, expectations to be met, and experience to be cherished for at the end result.
Very good, thank you. Anyone having another top 3? Please go ahead.
Quality of delivery, transparency, and flawlessness.
Right. So that's the level of delivery, quality, and so there it's a little bit more on the trust. That's more a little bit like the bonding, the framing. You have a little bit more in the operations, profession, knowing what to do. Anyone else with the top 3? Please go ahead.
It has to be different. It has to be creative. And then the price is very important. Okay. And then in the end, the execution.
Yep.
You can talk, but you have to walk the walk.
There you go. So price is also a very important thing. Anyone else with the top 3? Behind you. Trust, certification, and what? Okay.
There has to be consistency.
Consistency.
The service has to be personalized, and the cost has to be very compatible.
Yeah. So cost comes back again. Top 3 from you.
Top 3 are teamwork. Because
Teamwork.
you cannot execute it.
Yep.
Values will bring everything. Trust,
Values.
everything. So values is important. And consistency, because you have to repeat it again and again.
Yes, consistency. Okay. Thank you very much. So consistency, trust. We're talking about operations. What do you need for operations? Good execution, consistency, and follow-up. So do you see it gets a little bit harder if I don't put the words up? But we're still getting into a point where, if you look at the bigger picture, we're talking more or less the same language, but it's very hard to define a top 3. For us, it was rather easy, but then for our customers, it was rather hard. And there's one thing to that, because what is the most important thing for our customers? What is the key thing if we are talking to someone who is willing to trust us, to give us an assignment, and to make sure that they look good? And there's the key word. We must ensure that we have their trust on making us as a customer look good. So it's not what the customer wants, but it's what his customer wants. We have to make sure that he looks good. If we're organizing something for a C-level suite, and we're organizing a trip or a meeting or anything alike, we have to know what they want. We have to know what are they looking for. So if you're in a conversation and you're talking about this assignment that you're potentially getting, your aim should be who in the end is the audience? Who in the end is the one that you're talking to? Is that the one that did it before? Because in the first conversation we're talking about what is your expectation? What did you do before? Did you like it? Do you want something else? We never asked about what was the feedback that you got? How was it perceived? And nowadays, especially if you look at the presentations that we got this morning, perception is even more important than the truth. Because you can bend the truth any which way you like by perception. And you know, we all do that. You all did this. I did it. My teams did it. And we're all doing it. And I know Fuad does it too. He's pretty good in it. And I'm going to challenge him now. And we didn't prepare this. And I'm going to show you that he already did it over the last 24 hours. And maybe even the last 2 weeks or the last 6 weeks. I'm going to tell him one question. And he's going to show you that he already changed the truth to create a perception that's more likely for him to share to you. The question is, Fuad, you told me that everything so far was fine. What went wrong and what didn't we see?
Wow. You know, what I do, instead of answering your question, I will do something political. Not because I'm smarter than you, but this is like juggling, you know? I mean, plenty of balls. So you can foresee things, you cannot foresee things. I am mostly confident about...
you know, here is like already the perception. You know, I'm going to draw you a picture. It's going, you know, it's a little bit in this direction. It has a chandelier. So tell me what you decided a week before we started here. What was your key moment that you said, okay, going to do it different?
Well, it was 2 weeks ago, actually.
Oh, there you go.
Please excuse my French. I was curating the program as it is everywhere, you know, wedding planners on the stage talking about the trends or blah blah, mice, etc. And then at the end of the day, I said, I mean, I'm writing names, erasing names, I'm changing topics, thinking about topics, checking other sites, watching videos, etc. And at the end of the day, I said, why shall I do the all same bullshit again? You know, I said, excuse my French, but I love the word. So then I dare to make a change. And to dare is my favorite word, because we all have our concerns about many things. Everybody tells me that I speak well on the stage. How do you do it? Because I'm not afraid of failing, you know? And I warm my heart by saying that these are our people. How bad can it go? If you fail, you can remake it. So I dare to change, and so far at the lunch I have had some feedback from some of you, and I can see it in your faces. But I guess it worked out well. Not perfectly.
But you did great. But you did great. Because what you did is you dared to change what until that point was our truth. The only thing that you did was even better, that you never told us that that was another truth. That the truth was that you were thinking of a different setup, and then shared another perspective with us, which then became the truth. And that's what we all do. We all say, you know, we have this logistic challenge, and we all say that, you know, everything went fine. Even though people at the moment you're talking to are behind stage still sorting out what to do, that doesn't matter. We're not telling that. We're going for the perception that everything's calm, everything is organized, and everything's settled. And a perfect example of a little bit less experienced event organizer that talked to me and said, you know, I can handle a group of 40, you don't need more. And I was in Moscow, I went out, came back, and I had this girl walking in the lobby area of an hotel, having full control, saying, don't worry, I have it all under control. Stay here and I'll sort it out, but I have everything under control. That was not really the perception that I was looking for. Because that gave me a completely different perception than what was probably going on. So, talking about what is a customer success factor? The perception. The truth is great, but the perception of what you're doing, if you don't tell your customers what you're doing, if you don't tell your customers how much time and effort it took to get something done, then that's exactly what they won't judge you on. If you say, oh, it was really hard, to say, okay, great. Same thing with hotels. If they say you got a great discount, you got an offer for 180 euros. If I don't know that the regular running rate was 250, I have no feeling with how good an offer that was. Thank you. So, then we come back to our clients, our customers. And our customers, the perception of our customers, but the satisfaction of our customers can be divided in two ways. You have needs, and you have things that we call delighted and disgusted. Did anyone see this before? No? Needs are the things we call dissatisfiers. And delighted and disgusted is what we call satisfiers. And to give you an idea, dissatisfiers are the things that you accept without thinking. A dissatisfier today is poor Wi-Fi connection. 10 years ago, it wasn't an issue. Now, that's a massive dissatisfier. Another dissatisfier is if I'm here on stage and my microphone doesn't work. The lights go out. That's all dissatisfiers. It's all the things that you would not even think about happening. It just is like a prerequisite of joining and doing. In the hotel business, dissatisfiers. What are dissatisfiers in the hotel business? Anyone an idea? Can you give me a dissatisfier in the hotel business? What do you think about a bed?
I don't know.
A comfortable bed. Would you expect in a hotel to have a comfortable bed?
Yes, yes.
So a dissatisfier is a comfortable bed. It's as easy as that. Same thing counts for you. Dissatisfiers and satisfiers are absolutely the same for you. What are dissatisfiers and satisfiers for an event management company? And why is this important? Why are we talking about this? We're talking about this for the simple reason that it's a completely different story if you talk about the satisfiers or the dissatisfiers. We were talking about the success factors of our clients. Dissatisfiers is quality, knowledge of the market. It's good price. Or is a good price a satisfier? A good price can appear to be on this rate, but it can also appear on that way. And the reason is that price is something that if you give the right perception of price, it can be a massive satisfier. If you give the wrong perception of price, it can give you a dissatisfier because you didn't do your job well. I'm talking about this because there are a lot of companies that talk about the dissatisfiers as the quality of their work. They say, we have great staff. Who wants to work with a company that doesn't have great staff? They say, we're well connected. Yeah, I expect you to be well connected because that's the reason why I choose to work with you. So if you're going to talk about satisfiers, dissatisfiers, but if you're going to talk about what distinguishes you from your competitor, think about this. A bus company saying, we have great buses and they're always on time. Great. Next. You're not interested in a bus company that tries to sell you that they have good buses and they're on time, because that's something that you expect out of the quality of a company like that. So what would be something different that you would talk about? What is that thing that you would take out that makes you different? Any ideas? Anyone has an idea? Yeah, that will probably be on that side too. Tell me, what do you think?
It's the creativity.
Creativity.
Yeah, what are you bringing to the table?
Creativity, right. What do you have? Oh, put on.
Well, if you're talking about a bus, then I would expect experienced drivers. I would expect cleanliness.
Yes.
Basic amenities like water being available,
Indeed.
the air conditioning working.
Yeah.
So those are the basics I would be looking for.
Basic. So those are the dissatisfiers. What's the satisfier? What goes beyond? What's the extra? What is something that you as a basic would not expect but would distinguish that bus company to another?
Definitely the quality of the staff in terms of the politeness, in terms of being able to communicate in different languages perhaps,
Yep.
In terms of being able to maybe be almost like a tour guide when taking you around. Those would be the little extras that would be meaningful.
Yeah. So there you go. So it's that thing that goes beyond. And here a bus driver, and I think you had, in terms of expectations, you had the right thing. Speaking several languages. That's a satisfier. That's something that you can share with your customers and where they're like, okay, I get that. You think one step ahead. You think about what's coming. Yeah. It depends. Sometimes you have TV entertainment as a satisfier. Sometimes the TV doesn't work, then it's a dissatisfier. So it's a little bit hard to determine. I'll give you an example of a company that surprised me in a very good way and never told me about it. We had a few speakers at a session, and the company took the effort of sending all the speakers a bunch of flowers to their home address with a little note. Thank you for having your partner at our event. We will make sure he'll come home safely. We never expected that. And we got all great thank yous afterwards. That, to me, was a company that showed true value. That's a company that showed me what you would do if you want to surprise your guest. They never told us. If they would have told us in advance, I don't know if you would have said yes or no. I don't know. There's a lot of things happening in the world where you might not want to have a bunch of flowers sent to someone, and it might be the wrong flowers, but they did it. And every single time I need a speaker, they're the one. And that's the thing that happens if you manage the expectations and go beyond. So I wanted to show you this picture. Who agrees with me that it's a pretty damn nice bath with a great view? You all do, don't you? It looks great. It looks great. What if this bath would relate to your relationship with your customer? You would have, as it appears to be, a pretty nice bath, if I would try it, yeah, I could fit in it. Great view. Amenities look great. I think I'll be happy as a client. But what's the negative part about a bath? If you run it, it's nice and warm, bubbles on top, nice bath foam, maybe have something to drink on the side. It's a relationship where you feel comfortable at. It's nice, it's great, it's perfect, it feels great. But what happens with a bath? What happens after 5 minutes? The water gets cold, indeed. So I can have like an amazing relationship with my client. Give him this bath and say, here you go, great, lovely, enjoy it. But after 5 minutes, I already know that I have to start pouring a little bit of warm water into it. And I have to make sure that that feeling of the first time, that first sensation that someone stepped into that bath, that warm feeling, that cozy feeling, that feeling is there again. Even after 5 minutes, even after 10 minutes. Because what you don't want to do, and we all know this, that you wait too long with putting a little bit of warm water in. Because what happens then? You have to empty the bath, you have to fill it up again, you have to go out of the bath, you get cold, you don't want to be in again because you're already cold, and then the entire bath sensation is gone. That's what happens. If it would be in a jacuzzi, it would be flowing water. There would be no issue, but we have this bath. So in your relationship with your customers, keep in mind that you're striving to have that warm bath experience, but don't wait too long with pouring a little bit of warm water in it. Don't wait too long with showing attention to the customer. Even if you're in rehearsal mode and by the end of the rehearsal evening, just sending a message saying, thank you, everything went fine with the rehearsal, we don't expect anything, but if there's anything that you can think of, please do call me at this number. They probably already have the number. They probably already have someone telling them that the rehearsals were fine. But it has nothing to do with the number or the rehearsal. It has everything to do with pouring a little bit of warm water in the bath. Make sure you don't wait until the water is cold. Keep on pouring it in. Make sure that at every single moment you put a little bit of water in. Show a little bit of attention. Doesn't even matter what kind of attention it is, as long as it's pouring water in the bath. And don't worry if it's flooding, because bath has always an overstop, so it will always flow out. So we're talking about customer, target customer, and we already briefed the part of quality, speed, price. That's always a balancing act, and we all know it. It's never more money. If I have more money in, then I need a better accuracy. If I have less money in, I need less accuracy. It's always the balance between one and the other. But it's also always the challenge between having a conversation and having a real conversation. Talking about what matters. What matters to them? Where are their values? What are they looking for? For me, I decided to change my strategy. I decided that if my audience and my clients are not happy, that they don't have to pay me. So my success depends on their success. I depend on their success. I'm risking to get any revenue out of an assignment for the simple fact that it might not be successful. And I don't mind. Because I know that I'll be the one sitting across that table talking to you and telling you what I don't know, telling you what I do know, but foremost, I'll be consistently asking questions. What do you expect? Where do you want to go? What does success look like? How do you do education? Something that Sebas already said this morning. How do you educate? How do you learn? Where do you want to go? What is your next step? What is your next customer? What does it look like? Asking questions is even more important than giving answers. So that's my takeaway. I do hope that instead of hearing to my story, you learn a little bit out of this workshop where we joined forces and we got something out of it. I'm easy to find on the internet if you want something, Stephan-Oost.com. And if there's anything, I'll be here for the next days. For what? Thank you once again for the lovely invitation. Thank you very much. We'll see each other tonight.